Good morning. Welcome to your daily dose of salt and light with myself, Nadine Ness. I have a little bit to cover today. I don't think this will be a super long episode. I don't have a whole lot. Well, there's a lot that's happened, but a lot of you probably mostly aware I did cover a little bit yesterday's episode, the whole Chrystia Freeland stepping down. I'm going to cover a few things. There was a shining moment by Pierre Poilievre yesterday in the House of Comment. I was actually watching or listening to this live. I wasn't watching, but I was listening to it yesterday because I wanted to know what was happening in the House of Commons with the Commons with the whole disaster and stuff. So I actually tuned in to CPAC yesterday and saw this live. And I have to say, I was moved when I was hearing Pierre say these things, and I think he was too, because I honestly do think he cares about the people that come to him and tell him these stories. But I might as well just get into it. If you're watching, let me know where you're watching from, what platform, what town. Also, if you want to share this show, share with your friends, your family. We talk about political things, world news, and with it from a Christian perspective. And sometimes I will talk a little bit about my faith as well, and things that God is doing through me or with me, whatever, to me, I guess. And just some of the things that are happening. So today will be the last episode of the week because I'm heading to Phoenix tomorrow morning really early, and I'll be flying most of the day. And I'm going to the America Fest 2024. So it's the biggest conservative conference in the US. There's like really big people are supposed to be there. Trump, Tucker, a lot of the podcasters, even Christian podcasters that I listen to are going to be there. So that should be really interesting. But yeah, so that's happening tomorrow. Not tomorrow, it's happening on Thursday, but I'm flying out tomorrow so that I didn't end up missing it. I'm also going to be a guest interview or guest star, not guest star, but I'm going to be a guest on someone's podcast from Phoenix, Arizona. It's called Light Beer Dark Money. Sean Noble is someone that I've gotten to know. He came out to Canada to do some of the training that we did back in, I think, October, just before the election. Yeah, and so I'm going on his show to talk about what's happening in Canada and Canadian politics and just the work that I've done here in Saskatchewan through our organization, Unified Grassroots. So yeah, that's going to be tomorrow afternoon. We're recording it. It's not live, so I don't think I'll be able to share like the live stream of that. But yeah, I don't know when they'll release it, but I'll share it with you guys when they do. So that's happening tomorrow. And then Thursday and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'll be at America Fest conference. So yeah, I don't know who all I'm going to be able to see or meet or talk to. But if I get to meet Trump, what do you guys want me to say to him? We're going to talk a little bit. There's been a lot of back and forth between Canada and the US right now. A lot of Americans are talking about what's happening in Canada. They're giving it a lot of light, and I think I'm appreciative of that because I think it's getting a lot of people to see some of the stuff that's been happening in Canada. We have very left-leaning media, so a lot of what happens doesn't even make it onto media. The Canadian public doesn't even know. And now you have the failures of this current government being highlighted. So that's happening right now kind of all over the internet. So it's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, and I'm going to share some of the tweets. I don't have all of them open. I probably should have before I started the show, but Trump has done a new one. I might as well just bring it up here. I'm just going to search it up. Trump, Trudeau. He's trolling him again. It was over Chrystia Freeland's resignation. Okay, here you go. I'll share it with you guys right now. The great state of Canada is stunned as the finance minister resigns or was fired from her position by Governor Justin Trudeau. Her behavior was totally toxic and not at all conducive to making deals which are good for the very unhappy citizens of Canada. She will not be missed. So Trump tweeted that out. I think it was last night. Yes, it was yesterday. And so the saga continues. If you don't know about it and you haven't seen my former episode, I kind of go through the drama as it happens every single day. So Trump is still calling Trudeau Governor Trudeau. So there was jokes about making Canada the 51st state of the US if Canada can't stop taking advantage of the trade deficit, not the trade deficit, but kind of. So in the US, they export to Canada. So they sell goods to Canada and Canada sells goods to the US. But Canada sells more to the US than US does to Canada in the tune of $100 billion dollars. So Trump basically said, if you can't do trade without taking advantage of us, then maybe you should become the governor of Canada and you guys can become the 51st state. So anyways, he's just continuing on with that trolling. But it's interesting just to see how much he's addressing or how much he's talking or even just giving attention to Canadian politics right now. I don't know what his motivation is, the purpose of it, but it's interesting to see nonetheless. I think it's making a lot more people pay attention, a lot more conservative commentators in the US. And we can't forget a lot of Canadians who don't have like a right-leaning news in the sense in mainstream media. We do have a lot of right-leaning independent media, but in the mainstream media, we don't. So a lot of the Canadians get informed by alternative news. So like smaller news organization like Rebel News, Western Standard, True North. But there's no big one that's on TV. Those are all kind of online. There's no big ones on TV. So a lot of people are getting informed or aware by people that they follow. Sometimes that might be a big US conservative commentator or even not a conservative commentator, just a commentator in general. And then you have people who watch American news in Canada. Now that Trump is talking about this, it's creating a lot of commentators to start talking about it. So I'm wondering if even just that alone, it's influencing Canadian politics on its own. And Trump is he appears to be very unpredictable. I don't think he is. I think this is just in line with what he normally does. But politicians don't know how to deal with him. They don't know how to approach him. But what he's saying, what they're doing so far has like failed miserably. I know Chrystia Freeland was making fun of him online publicly and basically just saying negative things about Trump constantly. Same with Trudeau. That's not going to help build relationship between the US and Canada. If anything, it's just going to make things worse. And that's what we're seeing basically. So interesting anyways. I thought I would share with that. It was supposed to be towards the end of the episode, but I realized I kind of forgot to bring it up. Next, I'm going to talk to you about, I'll share this too. I don't know if you guys, it was supposed to be further out, but I'll share it here. I'll play it on the big screen.
This because I knew Christian.
You guys can see it. So when Tucker Carlson came to Canada, he came to Alberta, he came to Calgary and Edmonton, and he had a speech. I actually went to the one in Edmonton, and this is what this is. It was at the arena there in Edmonton. Anyways, he had some choice words for Freeland. This video doesn't have all of them, but he does say what he thinks about Freeland, and I'll share it with you guys because I think it's kind of funny. And I have to say I'd agree with almost everything he says. But I wanted to share this with you guys. If you hadn't seen what Tucker Carlson was saying about Freeland, this was obviously before she resigned, but he knows her personally. He had dealings with her before she even got in politics. And she shares that in Edmonton. I don't know if he did in Calgary as well, but I'll see if I can. Here you go. I'll play it for you guys.
And I know a lot about this because I knew Chrystia Freeland when she was a journalist at the Financial Times, whose name shall forever live in infamy for employing her. And I remember even then thinking, this woman is not bright at all. But boy, does she have high self-esteem. I don't think I've ever even seen it's off this, I don't know what the self-esteem measurement scale is, the Richter scale. But her self-esteem was literally unassailable. It was bomb-proof. If a nuclear bomb dropped on your town, you could hide beneath Chrystia Freeland's self-esteem and live. There's like nothing you could do to shake it. Nothing. No amount of evidence of her stupidity and wrong decisions and idiotic views could dissuade her from the core belief that she was awesome and you were not. So I guess I shouldn't be totally shocked that she's helping to run and destroy your country. But she's doing it in her signature way. She's not getting on the CBC, her media outlet, which like almost all outlets in this wonderful oppressed country is run by the government. It's all state media. It's Albania 1985. And I'm sure we have people whose families were refugees from Albania. Welcome. And you know what I'm talking about. But at least you could say of the Albanian leader in 1985, Enver Hoxha, that when he went full fascist, he just like didn't mince words. Shut up and obey or we'll shoot you. Chrystia Freeland is wise enough, clever enough, in her serpent-like way, to make it all about your protection and safety. All about your protection and safety. No, we're just trying to help you. That's why you're in shackles. You're being arrested right now for your safety. Oh, it's for the common good. Don't worry, you'll understand. I always want to say, Mrs. Freeland, can I go to the bathroom? No, you can't. And you can just imagine her taking great glee as your fourth grade self wet his pants in class as Mrs. Freeland refuses to let you go to the bathroom. So that's kind of more diabolical than what we've seen in previous generations, and it's much more effective in a committedly polite country like Canada, because you don't know that it's happening. And because a demagogue like that, or your completely bizarre, cross-dressing prime minister, it's true, prime minister blackface, I didn't wear blackface, he did. He 3 times, thank you. 3 times, and I want to thank you for your commitment to the facts. The Prime Minister, their attack on your rights, which is an attack on you and your children, is cloaked in the language of therapy, self-help, and compassion.
It's so true. If you haven't seen the full speech that Tucker did, I highly recommend it. He's actually really funny. I really enjoyed his speech, and I talked about it actually yesterday on the show. But I was actually supposed to share it yesterday, and that's why it was still open here when when I started. I was supposed to get into the other subject, and I thought, oh, I forgot to share it. But he says she was gleeful about it. I don't know if you guys remember when Chrystia Freeland was announcing that they were going to freeze people's bank account. She was like gleeing. She was like so happy about that. There was another thing that I don't think people know. I'm going to see if I can find it real quick here while I have you on there. There was a handwritten note that and why am I talking about this? First of all, I'm going to tell you why I'm talking about this. I see a lot of people like posting online, oh, it's so brave for Chrystia Freeland to finally stand up to Trudeau. And they're almost like praising her as a hero. No. Chrystia Freeland is not a hero. We should be glad that she's out, for the simple fact that she can't terrorize Canadians anymore. She is not a hero just because she's going after someone we also hate. she's part of the problem. She's part of the reason Canada is in the dumpster fire that it is right now. So can we spare the whole calling her a hero or brave or all of that? No, she's not, none of that. And what she did during COVID and during the convoy, they should have never done. And I'm going to see if I can find this handwritten note because I think you got to understand who we're dealing with. This is the note. We need a new playbook. You need to designate this group as a terrorist group and seize the asset and imprison them. When talking about the convoy, this was in her notes. Imagine that. Designating Canadians, regular Canadians, terrorists, because they're standing up to their government and saying, you're not going to take away our Charter of Rights and Freedom. You're not going to take our freedoms away. Desperate Canadians who were losing their jobs. Canadians who had lost all hope during COVID until the convoy. Terrorists. Imagine that. And that's who Chrystia Freeland is. She's not a hero. She's not brave. I think she's just paving the way to try to get more Liberals on her side so she can make a run for the leadership of the party, the Liberal Party. I think that's actually what she's going to do. She didn't fully resign and left government. She's still going to run as an MP. She's still going to try to represent her constituents. Anyways, she's definitely no hero. Now, there was a few other things that happened yesterday before I get into Pierre Poilievre's speech. A few other prominent Liberals had some comments to say as well. Anthony Housefather is one of them. Sorry, I don't like putting swear, but I can't really take that out. Here, let's click on this first. I can't. I won't read them out. Anthony didn't swear, just someone in the comments. Anthony said, I have written to caucus chair Brenda Shanahan asking her to convene a National Liberal caucus meeting within the next 24 hours. I don't know what that means. I don't know what came out of it. There's a few comments here. Call on PM to resign. So Anthony Housefather, I just find it rich coming from him considering. So Anthony's Jewish. And I don't know if you've been paying attention to a lot of the things that the Liberal government has been saying. I don't know how many times Anthony has said he's disappointed in Trudeau. He's still staying in the Liberal Party. He's still going along with this. I'm curious if he's going to call on Trudeau to resign, but it's interesting to see that he's posting this. It's just, he's been spineless in the past. I'm in a group with a few pro-Israel people, and they talk about Anthony a lot, just on how he's like a sucker for punishment because a party that completely disowns Jewish community, he's still staying a part of it. But anyways, he had that to say. I didn't know exactly what it meant. I don't know if it means that has already happened. I do know there was like a meeting happening. Everything was hush hush. Trudeau came in from the back to avoid media. There was a picture on Twitter of him talking to a bunch of the MPs, and they all came out like almost like pretending nothing's happening. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is another MP. I'll share this video too. You can't hear the audio from this screen. I just have to switch to my other screen to share it. And this video was shared by
Previously, many of my colleagues.
It's being a little stubborn. So this is one of the MP, François Drouin. Drouin. I think that's how you say it. Here you go.
Obviously, many of my colleagues have put up, and I've been a great defender, but I just don't see how we move forward without having a future minister resign. Today was supposed to be a presentation of a plan, and now we're talking about a finance minister who has resigned. I don't see how this helps the Prime Minister, and I don't see a way out and how this helps us talk about Canadians while we're continuing to talk about what's happening right now.
So he needs to go. Sorry, I'd like to hear you say.
I think he needs to go, yeah.
Justin Trudeau.
Yep. Yeah. I think today's resignation is a sign of that.
So that's one of the MPs yesterday. That video was from True North, as you can see. I'll go back to the other screen here. Another one came forward, Chad Collins. In October, so this is what Chad says. In October, I signed a letter with 3 other members of parliament from across Canada asking Prime Minister to step down and begin a formal process to replace him. It's unfortunate that he declined to respond to our requests. It's obvious that Canadians across the country feel the same and want him to leave. Today, I publicly reiterate my request that the Prime Minister steps down, initiates a leadership process to take our country in a new direction. They know if he stays in, they're likely to lose more and more seats just because Trudeau is so disliked right now in Canada. Personally, I don't want Trudeau to step down because if we go into an election with Trudeau still in power, I know it's not going to be good for the Liberal Party, and it's just going to ensure we have more seats. If he does step down, then they have an opportunity to potentially put someone in there charismatic who can bring back some of the vote. I think that that's going to be a hard sell and a struggle unless they can completely rebrand themselves. But I don't know how they'd go about doing that to begin with. There's been so much damage to the Liberals' reputation in the last, 8 years or more? It's been more than that since 2016? 2016? Yeah. 8 years. Yeah. And I don't think he's going to step down. These are my thoughts. I don't think, and I shared that in a Twitter space yesterday. I don't think he's going to step down. It doesn't fit his profile. Trudeau is like a classic narcissist profile type. He has grandiose mentality, and with what comes with narcissists, they don't think they've done anything wrong. They think everyone else around him are the problem. They think they're either brainwashed or they'll make whatever excuse they need to make in their mind to make everyone else around them the problem. And if anyone stands up to them, he'll get rid of them. And that's what's happening, I think, within the party. I don't think he's going to step down. If anything, if he goes down, he's going to take down the entire party with him. That's usually what happens with narcissists. They'll go down, but they won't go down without taking everyone else down with him. Then Patrick Wheeler is another one that wrote a statement asking for Trudeau to step down. I won't read them all. So sorry for the yawning. Okay. Before I go to the speech for Pierre's speech and the Liberals' response, Dan Kelly, he's been reporting, if you don't follow him already, he's from the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses. So the CFIB, basically they're like a group representing all the business, not like a union, but a little bit. Like they'll represent small businesses' interests, even big businesses' interests, independent businesses. Anyways, he's been talking a lot about this GST. I talked about it earlier last week. Anyways, another big name company has said they're not going to stop charging the GST. So Pepsi last week had said that. Now Coca-Cola has come out. So basically, they're still, to their wholesale customers, they're still charging it. So the wholesale customers are still paying that. So the small businesses are still paying the GST. They're not getting a break from it to therefore give a break to their customers. So I don't know in tax world how all that is going to play out, but it's going to be interesting to see anyways. Let's see what the next one. So just so you know what happened yesterday. Yesterday, they were supposed to table the budget. Not the budget, but basically what they've spent money on so far. It's like a quarterly type spending. So Chrystia Freeland was supposed to table it. Now there was meetings with media and stuff, but it was supposed to happen during the proceeding at the House of Commons. And then they were supposed to announce what was in it, kind of speak to it. Chrystia Freeland was supposed to do that. And then the opposition was getting an opportunity to respond to it. So what Chrystia Freeland stepped down. They didn't quite find one at first that would replace her. And then Romeo LeBlanc got picked to be the new finance minister. I actually know of Romeo where I come from, like in New Brunswick. He where I grew up, he was my MP. I guess I don't know if he was then, but he's been in government for a really long time. I'm just going to see here for how long. Is it Romeo LeBlanc or Dominique LeBlanc? Okay, I'm confusing two people. Either way, Dominique LeBlanc has been the MP for a really, really long time. Dominique. So I'm trying to see how long it has been since. Anyways, people are like, who is he? No one really knows him. Actually, he's probably one of the more popular MPs in his ride. If you look at the polling for the MPs, Liberal MPs throughout Canada, he's probably one of the ones that's polling really well compared to all the other ones. And people have to understand why that is. Like it's like the Shediac, Moncton, kind of that peninsula, which would be like where all the French speaking Acadian people live. That's who he represents. And in New Brunswick, the mentality is if a Liberal government is in power, that means more jobs to the area. So because New Brunswick is fully bilingual, a lot of the French speaking also speak English. It's not the same like as Quebec. You have a lot of people who speak French who don't speak English. But if you're from New Brunswick and French speaking, almost all of them also speak English, almost all. And because of that, a lot of the jobs, the government jobs for call centers and stuff are in New Brunswick. So they know if the Liberals are in power, it brings more job and more opportunity to New Brunswick, and especially in that area because that's where most of the bilingual New Brunswick people live. So like the Canadian Pension Centers, there's so many different, the EI, it's all kind of in that area. So, and I don't think he's going to lose the support because it's like a survival thing for the people in that area. They know when Conservatives get in power, they cut more spending. So they want the Liberals to stay in power because of that. And I think I think he's going to keep his seat. He's one of the ones that I don't think he has to worry about it. And he is quite a charismatic character. He's quite well liked in that area. And he's brought a lot to the area. So, but we'll see what will happen. And he apparently has been quite loyal to Trudeau. I think what he's just done, though, accepting that position, I think it's political suicide. Unless he plans on running for the leadership of the Liberal Party. He did run in the past, so he has made a run for it. And if Trudeau was to step down and he was to run, I think that would be quite actually competition for the Conservatives. Maybe they won't be able to fix their Liberal brand, but he is charismatic. He is well-spoken. And I think he could regain some of the vote back to the Liberal Party. But interesting. Anyways, he took the spot. They released it's not the budget. What's it called? The spending report. I knew the term yesterday. Anyways, they dropped it off and then took off. They didn't speak to it. They didn't announce it. They just dropped it off and then took off. And then normally they would speak and then the opposition parties would be able to speak their comments to it. However, the Speaker of the House stopped them from being able to do that. So they didn't even get to comment, even though media got it. Media gets to comment all they want all over Canada, but the elected officials didn't get to comment in the House of Commons. And a lot of them were saying what the Speaker of the House did Ferguson did was not following the procedure, and it was undemocratic, and they tried to kind of stop it and still get a time to speak to it, but it didn't quite work. But after that happened, then the regular proceedings of the House of Commons. I know this is a little bit boring because it's political stuff, but after that happened, Pierre got to speak and he did a speech, and I was watching live when all this was happening because I wanted to know, okay, what's coming next? What's coming next? Is Trudeau going to resign? I wanted to see what Trudeau was going to say when he was in the House of Commons. And Pierre does quite a big speech. There's more than this, but this is just a clip from it that I want to share with you guys. I just got to get the right screen going here.
When I travel across this country, I consistently meet two types of people. One, those who are a little better off and tell me that, and I'll be very blunt about this, that if I don't win, they will leave the country. And they are very numerous. Yes. But you know, I don't worry about them as much. You know who I worry about? The ones who can't leave. The ones who don't know, and if I can just use very blunt language, who tell me I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I have no idea how I'm going to pay my way. That's right. I met a waitress at a restaurant not long ago, and she came up to me and she grabbed me by the hand and she said, "You have to win." And I said, "Oh, thank you. I appreciate your support." She said, No, it wasn't a compliment. You have to win. And then she told me her story. She told me that she was working one full-time job and two part-time jobs just to pay her bills. As a single woman in her late 50s. And she was tired of working all the time. So she cut everything out of her budget, every creature comfort, everything she enjoyed about her life, she cut it out so that she could drop one of those part-time jobs. And then one morning, she woke up and she walked outside and her car was gone. And she called her insurance and they said they weren't going to cover the replacement value. So she had to take that job back because she simply cannot live her life without a car. Now you can bet your bottom dollar, the guy who stole the car, he was probably out on bail. This was not his first job.
That's right.
Her taxes have gone up. Her heating bill has gone up. Her wages have not gone up. She's scared to go out in the streets in places where they didn't even lock the door not long ago. These are the people we're fighting for. These silly games over here, they're very entertaining. The soap opera that everyone's seized with today, that's all fine. But there are real people whose lives are on the line here, and we have a duty to work for them. And quite frankly, this woman doesn't see me as any, or any of us as any kind of savior. They see us all as a last hope. In fact, she doesn't want to be saved. She just wants her life back.
Exactly.
She was taking care of herself just fine before her tax, her heat, her grocery bill went through the roof and her car went missing. She was doing just fine. She was doing everything right. Met another guy at the Labrat Brewery a few days ago, and you can watch the video of me talking with him. He walked up to me and he said, "I have 3 jobs and I can't make it. We're renting. We have no hope. We've given up on ever owning a home. We're renting. We can barely make it." And he said to me, "I feel ashamed when I talk to my kids because they ask me why I'm never around and why we can never have a house. And I feel like a failure." But he didn't fail. He has been failed.
That's right.
He has been robbed of the promise of Canada. It was a very simple promise that if you worked hard, you got a good life. Now, it wasn't fancy or extravagant, but you got a house with a yard where you could have kids playing safely. And you could have a nice dog that you could afford to feed along with the kids. And your kids could play safely in the streets. That was the promise. Now, politicians break promises all the time. But you know what was bad about this promise? This promise didn't belong to this prime minister. It wasn't his promise to break. It belonged to all of us. And our purpose is to bring home that promise for that young man, that young father, and that older female worker so that they can once again take back control of their lives, live in a safe country where their hard work earns them a good wage, where the rent and their food is affordable, and where when they go to bed at night, they know that they will be safe throughout their sleep and that they will have their car in their driveway in the morning. A country where people are proud again to fly the flag, where they know the government is a servant and not a master, where they understand that every day the Commons, this place, works for the common people, not for the ego of one man desperate to cling on to his job. We must remember that we are servants in this place. We have a job to do on behalf of the people who sent us here. Our personal dramas are not important. The dramas that should seize all of our concern and imagination are the daily dramas of the working women and men that build this country. We are in it for them. We're going to give them back control of their lives in the freest country on earth, Canada. Let's bring it home.
Come on, get up, Lambert.
So after that speech, there was a few things like motions put in, but nobody talking, just the speaker was putting motions in. I'm going to show you guys what the Liberals' response was to that speech. So it's literally like, if you look here, I brought in from CPAC what it is, but I already put it to play right when the Liberals come in. But it's at 5:48. So if you go just before Pierre was speaking, between like 5:40 to whatever, it was like maybe 10-15 minutes. So if you want to go watch it, you can do that on CPAC. Here, I'll show you guys the screen, what it looks like. So it's the one for December 16th on CPAC. But this is how the Liberals responded.
And two, the Honourable Member of St. Albert Edmonton on democratic institutions.
Procedure to Standing Order 38 to inform the House of
Okay, so that's like
at the time of
the stuff that they're doing that's not linked to the Liberal
River
answering.
on carbon pricing, and the honourable member
See
for
if I
St.
can put
Albert
some
Edmonton
volume here.
on democratic institutions. I thank all members for their attention. Question commentaire, the
Questions and comments.
parliamentary secretary to the leader of the government in the House of Commons.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Speaker, you know, there is no one more so than the leader of the Conservative Party that both inside the House and outside the House tries to portray a false impression that Canada is broken, Mr. Speaker. The reality is Canada is the best country in the world to call home. We can do a worldwide tour where you will see that whether it's interest rates, whether it's inflation rates, that Canada is virtually second to no other G7 country. And when you think of things like foreign investment, we are third in the entire world in 2023, Mr. Speaker. To the leader of the Conservative Party, Canada is not, in fact, broken. And I would remind him that he sat around a cabinet table with Stephen Harper, where Canadians sent a very resounding message back in 2000. Faster.
The honourable leader of the opposition.
So yeah, Canada's not broken. Nobody's struggling. It's just, you just believe that because Pierre is telling you it is. No, Canadians are not struggling. They're not feeling any pinch whatsoever. They're only complaining because Pierre is telling you that Canada is not broken. Pierre is telling you that Canada is broken. And they're only struggling because Pierre is telling you you're struggling. Like the gaslighting. I watched that and I had like a visceral, like angry reaction. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I had to go and stop and go pray for a little bit because I wanted to like tweet this out and say some really not nice words. But I'm probably going to tweet out this video anyways. But yeah, it was right after. So if you want to go see it for yourself, it's on CPAC. CPAC is like the I guess the government's type of anytime you want to watch like any proceedings and stuff, usually that's the best place to find it. But yeah, Canada's doing Canada's best country in the world. It's not struggling whatsoever. It's doing the best in the world. A visceral reaction, I tell you. So another tweet I wanted to highlight, I'm just trying to find the right screen here, is Raquel Dancho. Raquel Dancho. She said, breaking, Canada is facing 25% tariffs from the US in just over a month. So she makes a good point here. Meanwhile, Trudeau is going to go on vacation for 6 weeks while his government is in chaos. Today, Conservatives are forcing a vote to bring ministers, border enforcement, and other top officials to testify before committee in January to ensure Canada has a real plan to respond to Trump's tariff. Will the NDP and Bloc protect Canada's economy or again support this failing Liberal government? So they're going to try to put a motion basically to try to deal with this tariff thing before it happens. So if they're going on vacation for 6 weeks, that's till, let's just like calculate quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's until January 28th. So Trump says the tariffs are coming January 20th unless something's done with the border. So now the government's just going on vacation, not going to be working, not going to be doing anything. And Raquel is saying the Conservatives trying to put a motion to have this dealt with before Trump gets in so that tariffs don't get put on Canadians. And I think that's a valid point. I don't know why they're not already dealing with this. And just to think about the impact that this is going to have on Canadians if they do put tariffs, because 40% of our economy are exports to the US. So, and that's going to go down if they're getting tariffs that much. People are not going to necessarily buy from Canada, or the US is not necessarily going to buy from Canada because it's going to make it more expensive for them. So they're going to try to find other places to get it, whether it's other countries or maybe get the US to start supplying more of their own stuff. But yeah, 6 weeks, that's after January 20th. We'll see what will happen, but I wanted to share that as well. Next subject. I actually tweeted about this because I was so shocked and appalled. Here you go. So this here was a news article by CTV News, and they decided to use, and the article has nothing to do with necessarily with urinals. It has to do with like holding your pee is common, but it can have dangerous health risks, experts say. But somebody at CTV thought it would be a good idea to put this photo to promote the article. So this is a screenshot I personally took. And I actually have more words I wanted to say. But again, like I said, when I feel that visceral reaction to respond, I'm like, okay, I need to get closer to the Lord so that I can still reflect Christ in these moments. But this is what I said. This photo is absolutely disgusting for this article, not to mention completely degrading to women, as those urinals mimic lipstick-covered lips. CTV is exposing themselves as both creepy and misogynistic. And I know somebody's going to say, well, those are the same lips as like the kiss or whatever that band is. It doesn't matter. I would expect to see something like this in like a strip club or like a dive bar that only men go to, but I still find it appalling and disturbing. There's nothing more degrading than men pissing on women. And you see that a lot in like really disgusting like porn type situation where you'll have men doing awful things to women, like peeing on them. It's degrading to women. And whether businesses want to have urinals like that in their own business, all the more to them. But the fact that CTV used this photo is just completely appalling and disgusting. It wouldn't shock me if it was a man that decided to that made this decision. I don't know any woman who would decide to make this decision unless she was someone who had like crazy fetish. But yeah, it's just more of the normalizing of fetishes in that we're seeing happening in Canada. Funny part is someone tried to community note me for it. I'm going to see if I can find it. Saying, "Oh, they didn't do this." Here. So somebody tried a community note and said, "Oh, that's a fake photo. CTV wouldn't use that." Well, I'm glad you agree that CTV shouldn't use that, that you think they would never do something like that, but they did. So, no, and this is a screenshot of it. I think you can still actually go and click on the article. Let me see. No, it's now been deleted. But I could still click on it when yesterday. And you can see here when I went and clicked on it. It was yesterday or the day before. It was saying that it was deleted, but I could still see it. And then someone posted in the comments that they were still able to see it. But yeah, and then some men thought that was funny and said that there was nothing wrong about that you should be okay with this. I don't think it's okay for a news organization to use a photo that's so degrading to women. I don't think it's okay for those urinals to even exist, but I support freedom of choice if businesses want to use it, but I can tell you if I went into an establishment and I saw those kinds of urinals, I would walk right back out. There's nothing more degrading and misogynistic than seeing something that even just the mindset of a man using this. What does it put into their mind? What kind of fetish or kink does it automatically put into their mind? I just find it appalling. And apparently CTV realized too, because there was massive backlash on this, and then they ended up deleting the posts and putting a new the same article with a new photo. But yeah. Anyways. So it's just interesting to see like what people have gone to the point of accepting into society as like being okay, and like even the men like defending this. And it makes me wonder, like, what kind of stuff do you watch? Like, what kind of stuff are you into? Like, do you watch like the kind of porn where this is like normalized? Like where this is like, does this like get you off? I don't know. But anyways, this episode is getting to the point where it might not be R-rated or 18 plus rated. I might have to go and change the settings, but I didn't show anything bad. It's just the subject itself is horrific. But and I asked my husband, I said, "Jonathan, would you use," he's like, "No, I would just walk right out." He's like, "That to me is beyond disgusting." Like I said, this is something I would expect maybe in a strip club, but not for CTV to use it to promote their article about how holding your pee is not good for you. But anyways, that's the kind of world we live in now where that even gets considered. Oh my gosh. Okay, another video. So I'm like I said, this episode's not going to be super long today. I think we're actually going to get under an hour. Let me know what your thoughts are on the whole situation. Someone says you suck and woke. So he's one of those ones that I said, if you're defending this to me, you're not someone I want to interact with. What kind of kinks are you into to think that that's okay? But, and feel free to follow someone else. And I guess I have more of an issue with it too, because of the background training that I have in profiling sex offenders. And then when I see these kinds of things being normalized, these kinds of kinks being normalized and doing it on the backs of women, I want nothing to do with it, especially coming from a news organization like CTV. So next video I'm going to play for you guys is someone tweeted this. I don't know who they are. HealthBot tweeted this, but I'm going to switch screens so I can play it for you guys, and maybe it'll give you a chuckle the way it did me, because it's so relatable to what actually happened here. Oh. I don't know if you've watched Seinfeld, but there's this episode where You're not wearing a ribbon. So anyways, I'm going to play this one for you guys because it's insane, the similarities that happened during COVID. So the title is What Critical Thinkers Endured During COVID.
Cosmo Kramer.
Okay, you're checked in.
Yeah, thank you.
Here's your AIDS ribbon.
No thanks.
You don't want to wear an AIDS ribbon?
No.
But you have to wear an AIDS ribbon.
I have to?
Yes.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't want to.
But everyone wears the ribbon. You must wear the ribbon.
What you are? You're a ribbon bully.
Hey, you, come back here. Come back here and put this on.
Hey, where's your ribbon? Oh, I don't wear the ribbon.
You don't wear the ribbon? Aren't you against AIDS?
Yeah, I'm against AIDS. I mean, I'm walking, aren't I? Just don't wear the ribbon.
Who do you think you are?
Put the ribbon on.
Hey, Cedric, Bob, this guy won't wear a ribbon.
Who? Who doesn't want to wear the ribbon? So, what's it going to be? Are you going to wear the ribbon?
No,
Never. But I'm wearing the ribbon. He's wearing the ribbon. We are all wearing the ribbon. So why aren't you going to wear the ribbon?
this is America. I don't have to wear anything I don't want to wear.
What are we going to do with him? I guess we're just going to have to teach him to wear the ribbon.
Like we're laughing. You're probably watching this and laughing about this. But that's actually what happened during COVID with people either who didn't want to wear masks or people who didn't want to get vaccinated. This is literally what happened. And I know watching this, you're thinking it's insane. Yeah, it is. And it was insane what happened. But it's exactly the same situation, that mob mentality that you must do as everyone else is doing, that you need to obey. But anyways, I saw someone shared that video yesterday and I was watching and I'm like, oh, I need to share that on my show because I thought it was really, really funny. But yeah, anyways, I hope you liked this episode. I'm just going to see if I missed anything else. I shared a few like really good video. Oh, I'll just go through this real quick. I don't know everything that it means, and I don't know all the government structures overseas in Europe and what's happening there, but there's a few tweets that were shared. And because I don't really know everything that's happening there, I still know something is happening. So I'm going to share that with you guys. So Stammer moves to cancel 2025 election. Britain's democracy is on the brink. So this is Jim Ferguson sharing this. The first time since the World War II, Starmer's government is poised to cancel the May 2025 county council election, a chilling move that many are calling the actions of a dictator in disguise. Under the guise of devolution plans led by Deputy PM Angela Rayner, this unprecedented decision would see local elections scrapped, leaving communities powerless, and Stammer's Labour regime tightening its grip on the UK. But this is more than a political strategy. It's globalism at work. As a World Economic Forum insider, Starmer represents the interests of unelected elites, not the British people. His vision for the UK isn't one of true democracy, but of centralized control, where the voices of ordinary citizens are muted and power is concentrated in the hands of the global elite. What's at stake? The end of free and fair election at local level. Councils could be merged or abolished entirely, erasing centuries of local representation. Critics warn this is just the first step towards a fully controlled, undemocratic system. It keeps going. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's interesting. I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing something like that trying to be pushed down our throats here in Canada. And the reason I'm against that, and every time you centralize something, you take the voice of the people directly involved in the situation completely out. You see that happening a lot with the centralization of healthcare and stuff like that, where each community might have different needs, but it's not being listened to. And now you're taking that at a municipal level. Maybe, I don't know why they're doing it. Maybe again to centralize, but maybe it's because people at the municipal level, especially in the rural communities, are pushing back. So they might be able to push through some stuff in the city, but in the rural communities where it's mostly conservatives, usually the council and stuff would be conservatives in the rural community. I don't know if you follow like in Canada politics, and you see this in the States too. You could have the entire rural area to be conservative, but because the population is greater in the city, it goes liberal or left leaning. But that's not usually the case at the municipal level or the local level. So I'm wondering this is a way to take that away so that they can push their agenda countrywide. Anyways, I just thought it was an interesting tweet, and it's something I'm going to be paying more attention to see if we start seeing that kind of stuff happening here in Canada. And like he said, it's something the World Economic Forum is pushing, and it's no secrets that our current Liberal government has huge ties to the World Economic Forum, and that they've been pushing policies and advance, or what they call advancements in Canada, in line with that. So if they're doing it in the UK, there's a big chance that that's going to start coming into Canada as well. So I'm going to keep an eye on it to see if we're noticing similarities happening here. And then another government collapses. Germany's government collapse in there's a snap election coming February 23rd. Scholz just lost a confidence vote in Bundestag. I don't know if I'm saying that right. With only 207 out of 717 members backing him. Ouch. This ends the traffic light coalition, announced Bundestag Speaker Barbel Bass. I don't know if I'm saying it right. As Scholz shook hands with Vice Chancellor Habeck before heading to dissolve parliament. Now Germany braces for a snap election and rising political tensions. So it's interesting to see all the political tension that's happening across the world, not just in Canada. You're seeing it also in Europe, kind of everywhere. And I'm wondering how much of that is being influenced by some of the radical policies that are being tried to be pushed through in government. It's interesting to see. Anyways, I just wanted to share that before I ended this episode. And hopefully you enjoyed it. Again, tomorrow, there's no episode tomorrow tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, because I'll be traveling. I'm going to the conference. I might stop in and do a quick live if there's an opportunity to do it while I'm at the conference. I'm not sure yet what it's all going to look like. I might even do some interviews. I was planning on bringing my camera equipment, but now I'm not so sure. I think I just want to like focus on networking and stuff while I'm there. And on Monday, next Monday, I should, oh no, that'll be, yeah, I should be doing an episode on Monday because that's going to be the 23rd. So I don't get back home until like late. I think like 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So we'll see if I do one on Monday. If so, it might be a little bit later. Just it takes so much time to prep everything, but maybe I'll have something to talk about. Maybe there's going to be a lot happening. I'll try to hop in anyways, even if it's just while I'm there, just to do something to keep you up to date as to like the people that I'm meeting and stuff. So yeah, no episode Monday, Thursday, Friday. If you don't follow me already, you can follow, subscribe, click whatever the button is on whatever platform you're watching, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. You can also search me on all those platforms by searching at Nadine G Ness. So if you click in the search bar, Nadine G as in golf, Ness, you should my account should come up and you can subscribe or follow or whatever it is that the button is. And yeah, so that is it for your daily dose of salt and light. And I will see you guys hopefully next week, maybe sooner.